What's going on, everybody? It's your man Magic here, and I have Admin Impasse with me on a sort of collaboration,
Yep.
I guess. Um, once
Yeah.
again, I guess you say it's a collaboration because this will be shown not only on the Nerds of Combat, but also on my own personal channel, which is Magic's Corner. And we are big fans of Spider-Man, but the discussion is always will be who is the best love interest for Spider-Man. And Spider-Man has over once again a 60-year history, and
hmm
he's had several girlfriends, but honestly, the only three that actually matter are Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane Watson, and Felicia Hardy, aka the Black Cat. Now,
hmm
I will say though, however, an honorable mention goes to Kitty Pryde.
Yeah,
Um,
because a lot of people forget that was a thing.
Yeah, Kitty Pryde and Spider-Man did have a thing in the Ultimates universe.
hmm
When Peter and Mary Jane had broken up, he of course went over to the X-Men, had a fling, well, not a fling. It was actually a high school type relationship with Kitty Pryde, puppy dog love, if you will.
hmm
Um, and then of course he went back to Mary Jane after a while, but it was actually nice because Spider-Man has always had a connection with the X-Men simply
hmm
because they've been treated practically almost the same sometimes. So he has a deep connection for the X-Men, and the X-Men have the same for Peter Parker, which is why Wolverine is one of Peter Parker's best friends and vice versa. So,
hmm
and so that goes as an honorable mention. But of course, we're only going to be discussing the main big three. Now, our other partner, Joey the Bull, or Admin Negro Lantern, would suggest that Felicia Hardy go with Nighthawk. Of course, me and
Yeah,
Impact disagree because we're not trying to have another Batman Catwoman
and
thing.
Catwoman situation.
And blah. We love you, Joey, Admin Negro Lantern, but no.
Yeah, just no.
No. Let that go. Even though she did have that good story though, dealing with the Infinity Stones. I'm actually
Oh
like
yeah,
the fact of that they made her a part of that, which was totally random, but it worked out perfectly.
exactly. And one of the leading causes in finding the other Infinity people, as we call them now. Oh
Yeah.
God.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot. Oh my bad. They're now the Infinity Stones are now the embodiments of people. So
Yeah. So you got a walking time stone, space stone, reality stone, soul stone, and power stone. Yeah, it's all weird. It's all confusing. It's comics.
but no. But now I and I guess we're gonna advocate for who we're gonna advocate. And I guess we should discuss about Felicia Hardy. Do you think that she should actually be considered for this?
Oh, absolutely. And the only reason being that a lot of people forget that Spider-Man had a lot of emotional moments with Felicia during his tenure when he was in that weird area where he didn't know if he fully wanted to invest in MJ yet. And during the whole time period after Gwen being, indisposed due to what happened, he actually did meet up with Felicia a lot, and she was like an emotional support to him. There were some touching moments they had between each other that showed a relationship could happen, and a healthy one at that. Like he would stop her from stealing and doing all the other stuff, and she would actually help him emotionally dealing with all his baggage and everything that he goes through on a daily basis, just being Peter Parker.
Yeah, even though it was a rough start at first because
Oh yeah.
she almost I don't want to say she almost had a fetish, but it's kind
Mm,
of like
we
she
could
didn't
we
want to
could say it
see
was a fetish.
she didn't want to imagine Peter Parker. She fell in love with Spider-Man, and it was just
hmm
like then she was like, "No, put on your mask, get away from
Yeah,
me."
exactly. At least it's better than when it was in the Ultimate Comics and she threw up when she saw him.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're not gonna. But yeah, no, Felicia, of course, deserves to be in the running. Like you said, the emotional moments that she's had with him outside of Mary Jane, of course, with Gwen Stacy being indisposed
hmm
because of what happened. And
Oh yeah.
honestly, I'm glad that they got out of the whole Batman Catwoman thing with those two, and it was because
Well, yeah, during the time period.
yeah, and that was just because that was the reason why I didn't like them at first. I didn't like it because I was just like, oh my god, they're copying DC with Batman and Catwoman. Oh my god.
Mm,
I was just like, Jesus, can we go it? Because it's just like, can we go a different route, please, for the love of God? But no,
mm,
as they started to go more into herself, and she got more into who she was and finding out about herself, and of course, Peter has had his thing with Mary Jane. Um, they've gone close over the years, and it's actually been a beautiful friendship slash relationship slash fling at
mm.
times.
And the
Um,
thing is, I will be the biggest advocate for Mary Jane and Peter Parker. It's just something that I'm never going to be able to let go because I grew up with it. I've read the comics about it.
we
Like
all
literally
did.
yeah, like literally my favorite comic book to date for Spider-Man is Spider-Man Blue, and I dare someone to fight me on how Mary Jane didn't show that she literally is that person that could really be an emotional crutch for Peter going through some shit.
Blah.
Yeah, nothing. I love Gwen Stacy too, man. Don't get me wrong. Gwen Stacy is the quintessential first girl, the first love, the smart woman that was like literally could help him out with all of his stuff going on as Spider-Man, and at the same time being an emotional support and steady person to rely on. But
And so, as you can tell who's the advocate for Mary Jane, and you can tell who's the advocate for Gwen Stacy. Um, like I said, we both love Felicia. But and the thing is about Felicia, I wouldn't mind seeing it because simply like they all like, and I'm not gonna take away nothing from Mary Jane. They've been the quintessential, like they're as much of the quintessential couple as Superman and Lois Lane is. Like that's
like seriously.
there's not a lot of it couples and Spider-Man, and
Yeah, like you will hear those two mentioned in songs. I'm pretty sure even Eminem did something at one point.
I believe so. I have to look it up. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, no, like Mary Jane and Spider-Man, Peter Parker, like they she's the only one that canonically got married to the man. So I can't I
Exactly.
can't
And the
take away
thing
from it.
is, what I really advocate about it is just that she really grew as a character in comparison. Like, remember where we started out from with this girl? Semi next door neighbor, like friend of a friend's aunt,
Mm-hmm.
hooks up literally with him. Next thing you know, she ends up what? Like one of the quintessential people you go to if you need some help and emotional support with shit.
Pretty much. And
To the
like I
point
said,
where I think at some point she had an Iron Man armor.
I think yeah, she did. Because she did work with Iron Man. But that's when they were breaking up and she was working at
For Tony Stark, yeah.
for Tony
Mm-hmm.
Stark. So yeah. Now, and of course, during Spider Island, she got spider powers and was helping Peter, trying to handle
Mm-hmm.
and control everything and go from
Yeah,
there.
because during that whole time, Spider Island was insane during that time period.
It was
Everybody getting
great.
spider, yeah, everybody getting spider powers. Peter had to learn how to fight because it's like, okay, my spider sense is not helping with shit. I gotta find some kind of defense for these niggas. Like they getting me. Like
So,
somehow I've had these powers longer than them, but I'm getting the drop off.
uh, so yeah, no, I cannot take away from Mary Jane. The reason why I advocate for Gwen Stacy so much is because the more and more you read about why Gwen Stacy died, the more and more it pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Oh, absolutely.
it's just like, and I know Admin Impasse can empathize with me on this since us being Teen Titan
Mm-hmm.
fans, is dealing with Dan Dido. And when you have somebody that hates a character just because they exist, it
But
completely destroys everything. And
like seriously.
that person, his name escapes me now. I'm gonna put it up here. but him,
Mhm.
he pretty much decided to kill off Gwen Stacy. One, because he thought she was boring and
Mhm.
made Spider-Man complacent. Oh, because Lord knows
Exactly.
we can't have superheroes have nice
Oh,
things.
God forbid Peter Parker is happy. Let's just keep kicking the man down, but he every time he tries to get up a little. Wait a minute, is that man moving? Is he thinking he can be happy? Mephisto, get your behind in here and make his life miserable.
Exactly.
But I'm a lord of hell. What do I care about a spider? Boy, if you don't get over here.
Exactly. Have Spider-Man make a deal with the devil real quick.
Exactly. To save his aunt, who's gonna die of natural causes anyway, given her age group. But whatever.
Yeah, just but it's just yeah, the main reason why Gwen Stacy died was because they pretty much wanted to shock the system of the comic book world
Mhm.
because due to, may he rest in peace, but at the time it was true, due to Stan Lee's non-creativity.
Mhm.
In a sense, he could create characters like nobody's business, but storyline wise, they were all kind of the same.
Jack Kirby. Uh, excuse me. Where'd that come from?
Rest in peace. The rest in peace to both. But yes, Jack
Exactly.
Kirby is the reason. Stan Lee could create the characters like nobody business, and so could Jack Kirby. But Jack Kirby is the one to push the stories along. And
Mhm.
of course, the night that Gwen Stacy died, Stan Lee had nothing to do with. It was
Mhm.
written by somebody else. He just okayed the story, and
Yeah.
shrugged. But he's always said that he's never wanted to kill Gwen off. He's always said he's never wanted to kill Gwen off. While the dude that wrote the story has been uber happy that he killed her
Mhm.
off and is glad
Because
about what happened.
because it did have the desired effect. It did affect the comic book world in a major way because at that time period, you never really saw a hero fail to save his love interest of all things, especially in a dire moment like that. Like he literally died because he thought his web would bounce and it didn't.
And you can see in later iterations when he's been put in the same situation, he has done a multitude of different things. So yes, it had the desired effect of not only the love interest, in fact, dying because of the hero, but it affects Peter in the way of he will never let that happen again,
Oh no.
ever. And
Mm-mm-mm.
because Mary Jane, of course, was in one of the same exact situations, and he put multiple webs on her, so that
Mm-hmm.
way it slowed her descent, and it's not a jerk
Exactly.
reaction.
Learning from your mistakes, folks.
Exactly.
Learn this.
So, but the reason why I advocate, of course, so much for Gwen Stacy is because that's this true love. I, 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 I love Mary Jane to death. I do, because she has certainly grown as a character. But she was one of those. It's like I got to see Peter Parker right the hell now. Like she was forthright and like I got to meet Peter Parker. And of course, Mary
Mm-hmm.
Jane has the one of the best lines in comics. Talking about face it, Tiger. You're only dealing with the best. I I
Mm-hmm.
can't
You
take that
hit the
away from
jackpot.
exactly. No, it was yeah. Face it, Tiger. You've hit the jackpot. Sorry. Thank you. Um. So she that's one of the best lines any woman has said in comics. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
That and the reason why I do like them a little more is because they both fell in love with Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Like they got to know the man behind the mask first before they even got to know Spider-Man.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I liked about Gwen Stacy because she was the first,
Mm-hmm.
other than Betty Bryant. But we're not kidding. To
Yeah,
Betty.
poor Betty. Oh God, that's a character that needs some help.
But yeah, no. Like Gwen Stacy was the first. In fact, she hated Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
She hated Spider-Man because, of course, he was involved and he wasn't directly involved, but he kind of was involved in the death of her father, George
Mm-hmm.
Stacy. So She kind of hated Spider-Man. Of course, they had that on again, off again thing. And then what a lot of people try to take off of for Gwen Stacy is because of what happened in Sin's past, which thank
They,
the fucking Lord that
they
got retconned.
redcon. Oh God. When I
Thank
mean that was one of the stories I literally tried for the longest time to just advocate. Can we get a petition to blacklist this? Can we acknowledge this was a bad decision? Because
not
literally
only
no one has said a good thing about that.
not only that, not only did like we trying to like fans try to get advocate, like even the writer was like, bro, I did not mean for this to go that horribly. Like
Mm-hmm.
because that for those of you, of course, that don't know, we're gonna talk about this briefly. Gwen Stacy cheated on Peter Parker with Norman Osborn and had 2 children. And that's
Mm-hmm.
all I'm gonna say about that.
Exactly. Because it gets so convoluted, even with the redcon, you get to a point where you're just sitting there like, why is it that Spider-Man might be doing a little worse than the X-Men right now with this continuity shit?
Yeah. Because of course the retcon eventually happens that it was Harry Osborn, Harry and Mysterio, and I believe somebody else.
The Chameleon.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, Harry, the Chameleon, and Mysterio played illusions on Norman and Mary Jane, the only 2 people that knew about the entire situation that happened in Sin's past. And it was like, nah, that was just an illusion. Don't worry about
Mm-hmm.
that. We're good.
Harry even freaking joked at Norman, like, what? Did you really think that this young girl would want your old behind?
She was way too classy for you, bro. Like you,
Exactly.
you're just a dirty
And I'm
old man.
sitting here
Stop
like,
it.
damn, Harry, I never knew you were my hero till you literally came through and you literally saved the day. Damn. I don't
Thank
know how I feel about this.
exactly. Harry was speaking facts because it didn't make sense at
It
all.
at all. Like it didn't make sense back. I think it was just like, okay, Norman's messed up Peter more so. How can we make him more messed up?
Yeah,
But
but I think for me, what truly solidified me advocating for Gwen Stacy more than than Mary Jane was due to an unlikely source. 2 unlikely sources. One, House of M.
okay, I can't be mad at that because I will admit that storyline for Peter I was a fan of.
House of M, where of course Wanda, well, brief rundown of Wanda House of M. Wanda Maximoff goes crazy, says no more mutants. But before then, Wanda Maximoff gives everybody their dreamlike reality.
Mm-hmm.
And
And Peter's dream was literally being with Gwen and having kids.
being with Gwen, having kids, and Harry got with Mary Jane,
Mm-hmm.
back pretty much to what they were doing almost
Literally before.
the
Sad part, it was like literally the death never happened. They ended up together, just kept going, and the only difference is mutants were on top, humans were on the bottom.
Exactly. That's pretty much it. But yeah, that's House of M, and then the second Clone Saga.
Oh no, you're not talking
Yeah,
about Clone
I know, I
Conspiracy.
know. As a story, I don't like the Clone Saga. For them,
Oh,
not only the original, but the second one was even more stupid with the Jackal. Even though Ben
mm-hmm.
Riley's only greatest thing was, of course, being the Jackal.
Exactly.
But the only part that I actually liked about that whole clone conspiracy type deal was the fact of that Peter Parker had his moment with Gwen. And in the last
Yeah,
moments where everybody's falling apart and, you know, he's trying to save Gwen and things of that nature, Gwen says, nah, my time is gone, but I'm going to give you this one last, I appreciate you having this one last moment with me. Now it's time for me to save you. And she closes the door behind him and handles, I forget, who was it that she went up against?
oh man,
I'm gonna,
I was it the female Electra at the time, or am I crazy?
I think you might, no, I think you might be crazy on that one. I'm gonna have to scan up.
Yeah,
So
we'll put it up there just to be safe.
Yeah, we'll put it up there. But yeah, she goes against two opponents with the door behind her, and Peter is just
Yeah, it was a heart wrenching moment, and literally one of the reasons that I do respect Gwen Stacy as his love interest and everything was literally from Spider-Man Blue, which was one of my favorite Spider-Man comics. It still is probably today because it literally showed how much he cared for Gwen Stacy and that he literally talks to her recording every so often on the anniversary of her death, talking about like how much has happened, how much is different, what's going on, and everything. And the craziest thing that made me advocate more for Mary Jane is Mary Jane was there and literally contributing.
yeah,
Like, could you?
that's when I started to respect Mary Jane because she was just like, you know what? I can't take like if I
This
was
woman was
there,
way too important to him.
yeah. And if he's still doing this, even though we together, I let me just put my respect in. There's no reason for me to be mad or anything like that because she's gone. But the man, and since I know him to be Spider-Man, the man was literally there when she died.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was literally in his arms, and he is technically the reason why she's, even though the ultimate reason is Green Goblin, technically
Mm-hmm.
she was alive before the.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't, there is nothing in me that can take away anything from that. It takes an insane amount of really of self to be like, okay, my boyfriend is crying over his ex that died so long ago and literally talking into a recorder to her. And I'm going to be here to support him through it and talk to her too.
Yeah, like that takes an that is an insane amount of fortitude and maturity as a woman, and I have no choice but to respect that at all. Like, and so as you can see, we
Mm-hmm.
respect each other's choices
Oh,
uh,
absolutely.
for the reasons why. So with that being said, and of course, like I said, we respect Felicia Hardy too, because they all,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, in the end, they all bring something different to what, if Gwen Stacy was around, um, if Gwen and George were around, actually. My ultimate dream would have been, because Mary Jane, of course, is, the fashion model, things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. So she would have been bringing in money. So that helps out with Peter. Gwen, of course, with her father being in the police force, could have let them ease up on Peter.
Exactly, because God knows the cops were always on his.
And of course, Felicia being a part of the underground, Felicia being the eyes and ears that Peter can't hear.
Mm-hmm.
So they all would have brought something different. And of course, Peter, um, not Felicia. Felicia, even though she grows to like Peter too.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy loved Peter first before he
Exactly.
became. So, But I digress.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you choose between Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, and Felicia Hardy Black Cat? Let us know in the comments. Once again, this will be posted not only on Nerds of Combat, but also on my personal channel, Magic's Corner. Thank you so much, Epic Impasse. I appreciate you as always.
You already know, man.
Yes, sir. And you can get through anything as long as you have a little magic in your corner. Peace and take care.
Mm-hmm.